This week, playing hardball with a poor offer pays off as I snag a stellar business class experience for a bargain price. I bump into football manager Ange Postecoglou and go all out in Aegean's flagship lounge. Yes, I had to roll myself out. Well, a very warm welcome to this week's video and welcome to Athens International Airport in Greece. Today, flying back to London Heathrow with Aegean in business class. Now, it didn't start off in business class, this was an economy ticket, but I put a sneaky bid of €130 in a couple of weeks ago, and 72 hours ago, Aegean got in touch to say that my bid had been successful. So what started off as a cheeky economy trip is now an all-out luxurious business class jaunt over to Heathrow. So come with me as I show you what you get when you fly from Athens to Heathrow with Aegean Airlines. Our journey today begins inside Athens Terminal, and if you're checking in luggage with Aegean, you'll need to head over to the counters in order to do this. These are located towards the left of the terminal as you enter through the doors. In business class, you get 2 pieces of checked luggage at 32 kilograms each, plus hand luggage too. I'm travelling light though, so as I head to security with my rucksack, let me tell you how I snagged this cheeky business class upgrade for next to nothing. After you've made a booking, you'll see the option to bid for an upgrade. This becomes available both in the app and also via the website. Once you click on it, it takes you to a page where you can enter into a bid. The lowest, currently for this route, is €135, and the highest is €250. Not being too bothered, as Aegean Airlines is a full-service airline even in economy, I made an offer of €135, which, by Aegean's standards, puts this into the poor category of offer strength. This means it was unlikely to be accepted, or so I thought. You enter your card details and submit the offer, but you're not charged at the time of making an offer, only if your offer is accepted by the airline. About 72 hours prior to departure, I noticed a debit of €135 from the card I had entered during the PlusGrade upgrade process. And sure enough, soon after, I received an email from Aegean confirming that my upgrade had cleared. So let's talk the costs. The full cash fare on the day for this business class flight was £464 sterling one way. By the end of the process, I'd paid £261.94, comprising of a £144.72 initial economy fare and a £117.22 upgrade fee to business class, marking a £202 saving. Yep, I'd say whoppa! That's a great success. Upgrade excitement aside, let's get back into the review, and we're departing from the A gates today. There's plenty of lounges here, but for us it's into the lift and up to level 3, where the Aegean lounge is located. So taking the lift up to Aegean's business class lounge here at Athens, their flagship lounge, let's go on a tour together. The lounge sits on the top floor of level 3 and takes up the entire space. If you're flying with Aegean in business class or on one of their partner airlines listed here, you'll be able to access it with your ticket. I want to say this now before we even step inside: give whoever designed this lounge a gold medal from me. This is how you do it. As you enter, you're met with an immediate sense of calm. The space is very well thought out and it doesn't at all feel cramped. There's beautiful soft lighting throughout the lounge which doesn't remotely impose on the space, alongside relaxing chairs, formal dining areas, soft leather armchairs, and power outlets everywhere. Great if you need to get a bit of work done. I just think the design here is really on point, and these beautiful blue hues really set the space off well. Aegean offers a selection of complimentary newspapers and magazines, or if you'd prefer, you can simply sit back and watch the world go by. Here's my Szechuan Airlines aircraft from last week. Take a look at that review if you happen to have missed it. There are plenty of information screens dotted around the lounge, as well as this Art of Waiting exhibition. With strong visual displays, books and literature over to the left, it really was a nice touch. Now, you can tell Aegean are genuinely proud of their heritage, and the design of this lounge reflects that beautifully. On the drinks front, there's this automated coffee machine, and alongside it, ceramic mugs or paper cups if you want to grab a coffee or hot drink on the go. There's all the usual accompaniments and teas from Lipton too. There's a countertop fridge full of sodas and drinks. This lemon and lime sparkling water from Soroti was great. Towards the back of the lounge is the dining area, and this is where all the food is located. I spotted the Greek coffee machine offering 2 different varieties of on-demand Greek coffee. There's also filtered water available too, and even more drinks on offer. This pink grapefruit soda was also a winner. There's a small but excellent selection of spirits alongside red and white wines, Greek of course. And finally, there's plenty of fruit juices and cartons too, including these little pomegranate juices. I haven't seen these before, but one might have made their way into my bag. On the food front, there was this lovely meat platter, and alongside it, a cheese platter too. There were some sesame rolls with turkey, cream cheese, Florina peppers and spinach, tortillas filled with fresh vegetables, this olive bread sandwich with feta cheese, basil pesto and cherry tomatoes, turkey club sandwiches with cream cheese, spinach and pepper, tuna salad brioche rolls, and finally these beef doner pita breads. These were great. On the hot food front, there was a vegetable soup with porcini mushrooms and a braised beef minestrone. Both looked excellent. There was also moussaka pie, omelette rolls and spanakopita, alongside pastry pieces with a dusting of icing sugar and cinnamon. In the fridges were fresh smoothies, fruit salad bowls, and galacto barreco, a type of egg custard. Excuse my pronunciation. There were chocolate overnight oats, fresh Greek yogurt with strawberries and pistachios, as well as yogurt pots too. There were chocolate truffles and chocolate Rice Krispie cakes with cranberries, little bagnette donuts, chocolate and vanilla pound cake, chocolate pastry twists, fresh brioche with sultanas and cranberries, croissants, chocolate cookies, pistachio madeleines, and granola bars too. There was also an extensive bread and breadstick selection with a variety of jarred accompaniments including sweet orange and lemon marmalades, quince, tahini, and of course, Greek honey. A stellar selection, if you ask me. Finally, the toilets were absolutely spotless and stocked with soap and lotion from the brand Olivia Thinks. Lounges that have good toilet facilities always get a thumbs up from me.
Well, welcome to the Aegean Business Class Lounge here in Athens, their flagship lounge. And it's flagship for a reason, because it's absolutely blown me away. It is a stunning, stunning work of art, if you can call it that. It's beautifully designed, these wonderful blue panels absolutely everywhere, and the spacing and seating has just been really well thought of. It's a fantastically designed area that really makes use of the space, and it is quite large. It's quite a large business class lounge, but it doesn't feel busy at all. There's probably only about 20 to 25 people in here.
Stopping myself from picking things up and eating them, I decided to sit down for a spot of lunch, and to start I opted for the fresh orange juice and a can of spearmint and peppermint water, alongside my food selections, which, while sitting down, were that braised beef minestrone. It was sensationally good. I actually went back for a second bowl, alongside a side helping of feta cheese. How could I say no in Greece? You guys know I love my cheese. And also the olive bread with feta, fresh tomatoes and basil pesto. Also a winner. I was then tempted into trying the Greek honey on wholemeal bread. Please blame the lounge staff, not me. As well as the chocolate Rice Krispie cake with cranberries and the fresh Greek yogurt with strawberries and pistachios. And guess what? They were all superb.
Well, time to leave the Aegean Business Class Lounge. Rather sad to say, I've had a fabulous time in there. Wonderful staff, wonderful facilities, and a really stellar lounge. Probably one of the best in Europe so far when I've been hopping around on these intra-European business class flights. So keep up the excellent work, Aegean. I really am impressed. Now let's see if the onboard product is just as good as that lounge. Heading to the gate, it's A7 for us today as we fly back to London Heathrow.
Today's aircraft is this Airbus A321neo, which was delivered to Aegean in August of 2022, making it a little over 3.5 years old. My boarding card placed me into Group 2, and I was actually the first person to head down the air bridge towards the aircraft. And here's my seat, 3F, right next to the window.
So all aboard this Aegean Airlines flight back to London Heathrow. Now, it's a bit of a strange boarding process. It was done in groups. I was in Group 2. I think Group 1 is reserved for any Star Alliance, really high-tiered members. But they just did Group 1 and 2 together, so I was the very first person on the aircraft. Came down the air bridge, and there was a short delay. They just held us short of the door because the cleaners were still frantically trying to get around and get everything done. So, props to their efforts, because the aircraft is superbly clean, so never complain about that when it's all for the right reasons. So yeah, settled in, very, very similar to BA's Club Europe, with that middle seat blocked with the cocktail table in the middle, and then just the F and D seats available for passengers, and I'm in the F seat. So I'm going to get settled in, take you on a seat tour as always, and then we'll get this journey back to London started.
There's a leather adjustable headrest that's very soft with a fabric Aegean cover. The legroom is very spacious and the seats do recline too. There's a drop-down tray table as standard, the usual size, as well as a seat back pocket with a safety card as well. There's also a literature pocket up the top with Blue, Aegean's in-flight magazine, as well as a drop-down smartphone holder. This was a nice touch. There's also in-seat USB-A power and overhead reading lights and personal air vents. I was also given a strawberry jelly pre-departure suite, which was a nice touch. I've not seen an airline do something like this for quite some time. There's a manual window blind and the cabin is really modern, in calm blue and white tones with Aegean branding everywhere. Then the crew came round with a pre-departure drinks service. I opted for an orange juice, and I was also given a food menu for the service later on. That's all for now though, as we push back to depart Athens. I'll catch up with you soon. So we are off and en route to London, 3 hours 25 minutes to go, and looking forward to this one. It's a beautiful day. We roared out of Athens. It was a lovely takeoff, beautiful blue skies, the sun's out now, and of course gorgeous scenery. Always is nice to depart Greece. I do like Athens airport for the views and the scenery. It never disappoints. So interesting flight, interesting start to the flight. We have a celebrity behind me, and Postecoglou, the football manager, is aboard. Lots of people have been coming up and shaking his hand and asking for photographs, including one member of the cabin crew who was overjoyed that he's on board. And we've been given a menu as well. So we have two choices today. We've got an eggplant filled with chicken, minced meat, bechamel and mezzavoni smoked cheese, or a sea bass fillet with artichoke stew puree and fennel puree. I don't know why I just couldn't say puree then. And the hot mains are by an executive chef called Alexandros Tsiotines. probably absolutely appallingly pronounced that name. Apologies, Alexandros, if you're watching. And dessert is by Executive Chef Patissier Stelios Parliaros. My Greek A game coming out the bag. So looking forward to seeing what Aegean offer in the catering department. Everything else has been really nice so far. The crew have been very friendly. The product seems to be very new, very comfortable, very clean. This seat's really comfortable. It's kind of a leather seat, but it's got a bit of give in it. It's kind of a bit soft in the middle, but then lower down it's a bit more supportive. So it is really comfortable to lean into. And of course we've got a leather adjustable headrest as well, which is going to be good because I'm going to try and get an hour's sleep later on in the flight, and I'll report back on the comfort. But for now, sit back and enjoy these beautiful views as we soar through the clouds on our way back to London Heathrow, and I'll keep you posted with everything that happens aboard this Aegean flight. About 20 minutes in and we hit some really strong turbulence. This didn't seem to faze the cabin crew though, and they continued the service nonetheless, starting with a scented hot towel. So the meal service is now about to start, and I'll report on that shortly, but I've just been sitting here thinking there's one thing I have noticed, and that's just how detail driven Aegean Airlines are. So obviously when we boarded we got that welcome suite, we then got that welcome drink, which a lot of airlines have done away with now. I don't know many airlines on a short flight like this that are offering, 9 rows of business class passengers welcome drinks. And then we've just been given a tablecloth. It's all tablecloth service, and it appears that the meal service is course by course, starter, main, dessert. Unless I'm wrong, the crew are coming out now, so I'll show you what we get. So that's the meal service done, and I am not exaggerating when I say that that was possibly one of the best business class meals I think I've ever had when I've flown on these intra-European business class hops. It was nothing short of sensational. Aegean, you really have pulled this one out the bag. Now I think I saw New Rest loading the aircraft, their caterers. I did for one second think it might be Doe & Co, but I think it's New Rest, if my eyes didn't deceive me before boarding. So it wasn't served course by course, everything was served together except the dessert, which came at the end. So we had a starter today of smoked tomato tarama with fresh pida, herbs and sun-dried cherry tomatoes. It was delicious, it was smoky, it was creamy, the bread was just like a cloud. It really was just absolutely sensational. And again, tying into what I say, moving away from that couscous and those orzo pasta salads and all the boring bean type seed salads we get a lot of, things like this are far more popular and probably at the same, if not lower, cost price. There was 2 choices of mains. There was an eggplant filled with chicken mincemeat, bechamel and mezzavoni smoked cheese, or a sea bass fillet with artichoke stew, puree and fennel puree, nailed puree this time round. I really was humming and ahhing because both options were great, but I had the eggplant in the end. Now when it came I did think, oh, it does look a little bit fatty. There was quite a little bit of oil, but it wasn't actually oil. It was kind of a tiny bit of oil and a bit of juice, and it was just so unbelievably tasty. That beautiful smoked cheese on top just set it off. It was an absolutely knockout dish. Then there was a side of cheese. There was a cheese plate, Manuri cheese and Styakakis Graviera cheese. Apologies if I'm not nailing these pronunciations. If you're one of my Greek subscribers and wish to correct me in the comments, please do so. Always happy to be corrected. Both cheeses were great. The Manuri cheese was very similar to feta. It was salty, it was earthy, it was soft and creamy, really tasty. Whereas the Graviera cheese was a little bit more sort of semi-hard, rich, beautiful nutty taste, really, really tasty. And dessert came second at the end. There was also some bread as well, actually. There was a white or brown bread roll. I opted for the white bread roll, and that came with a black olive tapenade and a bottle of Greek olive oil from Crete, which was again absolutely exceptional. All the cutlery was silverware, and there was branded cotton napkins, and of course the white and blue striped Aegean tablecloth that went down before the service began. Then a tea and coffee service has begun with the dessert from that executive chef patissier Stelios Poliaros, and that was a semolina halva, and again delicious, almost cheesecake in texture. It was beautifully nutty and full of cinnamon taste. It really was a great dessert. Again, quite heavy, but just the right size to finish off your meal, and I opted for a tea with milk on the side. For the mains, I had a Mai Tai, a copper cocktail Mai Tai. It's a pre-mixed premium brand, really tasty, on ice with a slice of lemon and a glass of still water. And, you know, I'm going to say it again, genuinely, Aegean, you really have impressed me. That was a stellar lunch service. There is no negatives, and if this is what you produce both in the lounge and on board, I might just have a new favourite airline to trot around Europe in. Well, talk about well-fed, well-watered. Now the food coma is kicking in. I am going to put this seat through its paces, try and get an hour of precious sleep. I'm pretty tired and I've been on the go quite a lot recently, so I'm going to afford myself 40, or should I say 60 weeks. See you shortly. So the sleep verdict, yeah, I was out like a light. Just had about an hour and 20 minutes kip. Absolutely really comfortable. These seats have got a lot of sort of lower back lumbar support, which really allows you to drift off quite easily. I mean, in my own defence, I was pretty tired anyway, but normally even if I'm really shattered and the seat's bad, I can't sleep. So that's testament to Aegean's business class seat. And yes, very similar setup to British Airways' Club Europe with that middle table blocked, but it does feel like there's just a tiny incy-wincy little bit more space, both in legroom and in width. That might be an illusion, but it certainly feels like there is. So I'm just watching the world go by at the moment. I think the crew are about to start another drinks service. I might partake in that. And then before we know it, we're going to be touching back down into Heathrow. This flight really has flown, but it's been a wonderful experience so far. And I have no qualms in recommending Aegean if you are headed to Greece or beyond. I opted for another fresh orange juice from the second drinks service and was also given the choice of a milk or dark chocolate. I opted for the milk chocolate square, and it was very good quality. I then decided to check out the toilets, which are located at the front of the cabin and purely for the use of business class passengers. They were very clean and I had no real complaints at all. It would just be nice to see them bring on the soap from the lounge rather than use this cheap soap instead.
Passengers, hello again for the flight decks. Some information about our flight. Now we're cruising at 34,000 feet. And in a few minutes we start a descent on course to Heathrow Airport. Expected time of arrival approximately 35 minutes from now. Weather at destination reported cloudy with a light rain, and ground temperature 9 degrees Celsius. Thank you for choosing Aegean for your trip, and I hope so again. Have a nice day in London and good afternoon. Thank you.
So that's pretty much it. We've just got the 10 minutes to land. I'm actually a little bit starstruck that it appears we've got a direct path into Heathrow today, which is completely unusual. Normally sat circling, such is my luck, but it appears, I mean, we do look like we are going straight in. So
I'll take that as a small Heathrow win today. But rounding up this experience then, what's it been like? Was it worth it? Was it worth that, £117, €130 upgrade? In my mind, absolutely. It has been an extremely comfortable flight, had a wonderful sleep, a really delicious meal, and great sterling Greek hospitality. So I've got no qualms recommending Aegean if you're thinking about flying, to Greece or beyond. You've got to remember that they've got so many routes, so you can fly into Athens and beyond with Aegean. And remember, if you're flying economy, it's still a full service airline, so you will still get a hot meal, just like we've had in business class. Yes, it will be slightly smaller and, there won't be as much on offer, but it's still a full service airline in economy. So I think from this perspective, Aegean has made me feel like this is what flying used to be like. This is kind of going back to the golden era of flying. And I think, to be honest with you, this is probably what the industry's missing at the moment. In an era where low-cost carriers and cost-cutting is at the forefront of everyone's mind, Aegean still has that, mindset that if people want meals, if people want comfort, if people want all the perks, they will pay for it and they will offer it. And every single seat on this flight's taken, so they must be doing something right.
Αγαπητοί επιβάτες, καλώς ορίσατε στο Λονδίνο. Οι ζώνες ασφαλείας σας θα πρέπει να παραμείνουν δεμένες μέχρι να σβήσει η φωτεινή ένδειξη «Προσεχθείτε».
So, to wrap things up, this Aegean Airlines business class experience from Athens really couldn't have gone much better. From start to finish, it felt polished, generous, and genuinely thoughtful, and I honestly struggle to point to any real negatives. Snagging the upgrade for just €135 through PlusGrade felt like an absolute win, and set the tone for what turned out to be a standout journey. The Aegean Lounge in Athens is quite frankly a benchmark, beautifully designed, calm, exceptionally well catered, and exactly how a flagship lounge should feel. It's a space other airlines would do well to study. On board, the experience continued in much the same vein. While this isn't a fully lie-flat product, Aegean proves that business class is about far more than just the seat. The white tablecloths, pre-departure drinks, hot towels, attentive service, and proper meal offering combine to deliver something that feels increasingly rare on short-haul routes, a truly full-service experience. So all that remains to say is well done Aegean, you absolutely pulled this one out of the bag. I can't wait to fly with you again. feels like the perfect moment to ask. If you're enjoying the adventures so far, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and come along for the ride with a growing community of fellow travellers.